the life cycle of video work. Or maybe more correctly, the life cycle of being a crew member on a job. What I'm going to explain to you now is the typical journey that I go through as a freelancer or as an employee when I'm given a project. What are the key milestones? What are the things that I'm looking for? What are the steps in the journey to go from getting a gig to delivering a final video and getting paid? That's what we're talking about. So the first step in getting a gig is marketing yourself, basically. It's finding leads, lead generation. There are tons of ways to market yourself. It could be word of mouth. It could be through a colleague. It could be through Google Ads. It could be a request on your website. It could be any number of ways that you find a potential client. So now you've got to scope it out. You've got to find out if it's a good match. You've got to find out if it's worth it for you to take. And you've got to then prove to them that you're worth taking. We're going to define the role, find out whether or not it's even in our skill set, figure out what it is exactly that we're doing. We're going to ascertain the scale. How big is this thing? How many crew members are there? What's the budget like? We're going to set project expectations. We're going to know what I'm in charge of and what I'm not in charge of. Then we're going to get more specific. We're going to define an actual agreement. Sometimes this is literally signing a contract like a deal memo. Sometimes it's just an explicit verbal agreement or written email or text thread. But you want to define the rate and the price and what you're going to be doing and what you're not going to be doing, defining the scope of your role. You want to establish a timeline and deadlines and due dates and kind of the methodology by which you're going to be working with your client on this project. And then you're going to get some upfront pay. Very important. Once everything's set up, you know what you're doing, they know what you're doing, you also know what you're not doing. It's all ready to go. Now you've got to acquire the footage. You're going to get the hard drives, you're going to put them on your computer, you're going to begin to organize the footage. It's important through your whole editing process to handle your client correctly. Then there's assistant editing. This is where we take the mess of footage and we turn it into something understandable. We're importing, we're making proxies, we're organizing, synchronizing, logging, and marking. We're making this footage understandable. Then we're going to assemble our first cut. Usually, by the time we have a rough cut, it's time for a feedback session. Then there's kind of the editing iteration process. You make a cut, you get feedback on it, you make another cut, you get feedback on it. Usually it's a couple of rough cuts and then it's a couple of fine cuts. Then you get to a locked cut. Sometimes you're done at that point. Sometimes you're going to need to work with specialists to help get it finished. Sometimes you're going to have to finish it yourself. Then video's done. You're going to deliver it back to your client and you're going to conclude everything. You're going to get that final payment. You're going to deliver the video file. You're going to clean up the hard drives and deliver them. And you're going to try to use this job to get more jobs. And that leads us straight back into the next one. You do that over and over and over again for every single job.